And welcome to The Bottom Line, where we get into some of the bigger economic and business stories of the day. We now know that Intel will postpone setting up shop near Wrocław, incidentally, the region that is currently experiencing terrible flooding for at least 2 years now. To find out the reason behind this decision and the multifaceted impact of what follows, join me as I now speak to Sebastian Stodolak, Deputy Chairman of the Warsaw Enterprise Institute.
Hello.
Hello, good afternoon, and thank you very much for joining us. So I wanted to first set the context for our viewers. We now know that Intel postpones its expansion into Poland and Germany on account of lower than expected demand. But we also know that there was massive public aid for both factories simultaneously, while the company announced $10 billion savings. And also on top of that, we know that Intel had suspended its $25 billion project in Israel, which was rather telling. And we also know, on top of that, that this plan for Intel to set up shop in Poland didn't happen overnight. So was there no inkling that something like this would happen sooner?
Well, it comes as a surprise, I would say. The plans to halt on the investments were announced just now. And, well, I don't think that there were any signals in the public sphere that would predict such a move. But, this is how business operates. And because, of all those other plans, like you mentioned, the closing of the Israeli project, you can really find the company's announcement credible. It's just they probably do believe that there will be a decline in demand for the products. But there are at least two other sides to this story. Two lessons to be learned for Poland as an economy and as a country. So first of all, a country should not base its economic development on just one foreign investment. It was indeed a huge investment, 4 billion euros, true. So to give a comparison, for example, all the greenfields investments 2023 were worth around €1.5 billion. So you can really say it was a huge plan to build this factory near Wrocław. But on the other hand, we have just a few of the greenfield investments happening in Poland. True, we are one of the leaders in Europe when it comes to attracting greenfield investments. But in the absolute terms, the worth of those investments is not very significant. So what does it mean? It means that we as a country should not be too satisfied, I would say. We should really think how to attract more investment, not with public aid, because as we see from the example of Intel, public aid is just one of the factors contributing to incoming FDIs. More important factors are outside. So one group of factors is purely market related reasons like demand and other things. But there's also a set of other factors which are dependent on the country's policies. In Poland, we have a huge problem with our I would say, legal framework when it comes to operating businesses. We have ever-changing laws in Poland. When it comes to tax code, we've been changing it all the time during last years. So I believe that companies that are considering investing in Poland are finding it quite risky to do it because of the fact that they do not believe our politicians that they will stick to the words. To give you an example, recently there was an announcement that the excise tax of tobacco will go up significantly. And it is a breaking of a promise made by our government 2 years ago.
I just want to jump in, if I may. Yeah. I just want to jump in and ask about this 2-year period, because I suspect that a lot of us will be holding on to this 2-year period. How can we be certain that Intel will come back in 2 years' time? And even if, what will it depend on?
We can't be certain. We can't be certain. There is no guarantee. What we can do as a country, as I said, we can maybe try to find some other investor that can fill the gap, or we can, if we believe that it's possible that Intel will come back to their plans of investing in Poland, we can work on, switching the investments between Poland and Germany. So I would gladly see Intel investing 30 billion euros in Poland and 4 billion euros in Germany within 2 years' time. And I would say, frankly, it's not impossible. It's just a matter of how we shape our policies. Germany economic environment is not also in a very good shape these days. They also face huge problems, and Poland still have some advantages over Western Europe when it comes to the new factory and plants. So maybe our government should also try to find out what was the decisive factor between Intel's decision to build a bigger factory in Germany and a smaller one in Poland. Maybe we can reverse that. Maybe this could be a goal.
Speaking of Germany, I actually wanted to tie in Mario Draghi's report on competitiveness, because now that Intel has pulled out, Mario Draghi actually spoke very clearly that we need Europe rather than we actually needs to invest in semiconductors. Now we're in a position where Europe has no state-of-the-art chip manufacturing opportunities. We're in a very tricky situation. What is your take on that?
So first of all, some companies in Europe, they do produce very significant parts of semiconductors. Without them, Taiwanese companies would not operate. So we have a bit of technology that is important for the value chain and supply chain in semiconductor businesses. But yes, you're right. We cannot do it totally on our own. So I would say that Mario Draghi's plans to constitute something like an industrial policy aimed at developing Silicon Valley in Europe are very ambitious, but at the same time very unrealistic. We haven't done it during the last 2 decades. Why should we think it is possible to do it during the next decade? I would say it's impossible. At least it's impossible when we believe that the politicians will come up with a plan how to do it. So Mario Draghi's idea for Europe is more centralization, more common debts, more common planning. It does not work. I don't know why this kind of ideas are coming to his mind, because this is precisely why Europe is falling. So it eliminated this bottom-up competition and it replaced it with the central planning in many spheres of economy. It's now about time to reverse the trend, not to continue.
So are you suggesting that Mario Draghi's ideas are not necessarily the way forward?
Mario Draghi's ideas are not the way forward. He has a very good diagnosis of the situation, very sober, very realistic. But when it comes to his ideas how to shape future of Europe, I am afraid they will not work, and they will contribute to Europe going even deeper into crisis compared to other regions of the world.
But we see ourselves in a situation where companies are announcing closures of manufacturing sites in Poland. They're relocating to places like Romania. This news from Intel is also, well, I suppose in many ways it's a wake-up call. Does this perhaps suggest something about Poland when it comes to foreign investment? In recent weeks, we were hearing news that foreign investment would be coming to Poland, but now is there a suggestion that perhaps Poland is not the right place for foreign investment?
I don't think that the single examples can, be a proof of a bigger trend here. I'd say it's not a wake-up call in the sense that there will be some huge movement of outward investment going out of Poland soon. That's not the case. But in one sense, there is a wake-up call in all this story. And this is what I already mentioned. We need to really work on our legal framework, on how business operates. Political class has to work over its credibility, because right now it's losing it. It changes its mind all the time on many issues. And let me finish the story with excise tax. It's, of course, excise tax on cigarettes maybe is not the most sexy topic to talk about, but it tells a lot. So one government makes a pledge, we're gonna do this and that in that tempo, at that pace during the next couple of years. There is a government change and the promise is broken, like from day to day, overnight. So how can business plan its investment if it cannot be sure what costs of operating in Poland will be in the future?
Okay,
and, so there is a lot of discretionary power on the side of Polish politicians, and this is a huge problem.
Okay, so it's a case of keep calm and carry on and improve a little bit.
Not a little bit, not a little bit. We have one of the worst tax systems in the OECD countries. One of the worst.
Well, we'll have to park our conversation for another time, I'm afraid.
But this is a huge task. This is not a little thing to do. It's a huge task.
Sure. Okay. Sebastian Stodolak, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you too. Bye. Thank you.
That was Sebastian Stodolak, Deputy Chairman of the Warsaw Enterprise Institute. Thank you so much for joining us on The Bottom Line. I was your host, Marie Cato. Join us again tomorrow at 5 p.m. CET on TVP World. Goodbye.